Hello and welcome to another Parry's Pickup. Thanks very much for joining us today. So, four more games to talk about on this episode. The first being No Man's Sky. Okay, so this wasn't a game I was thinking about picking up. It's a little notorious now, as when it came out it disappointed quite a few people who were expecting something maybe more from it. I don't think people really understood what type of game it was, and it really is it's a resource management. It's very similar to Minecraft in many respects. It's about collecting resources and building things and exploring, really. And what beautiful worlds you can explore in No Man's Sky. My experiences of this have been really positive, actually. It wasn't a game I thought I was going to like particularly. I was intrigued enough because it is a beautiful looking game and it's got a beautiful soundtrack, but it's really you can tell this game's a labour of love for the developers, and it's quite addictive. So yeah, there's basically you have to mine some resource in order to do something, and that's pretty much a constant. When you're on a planet, at least you've always got to be mining something in order to do something else. And also staying alive, because a lot of these planets you'll be on have some sort of dangerous environment. So these are always doing damage to your sort of shield, and it could be toxic damage or it could be heat, and so you've got to constantly collect the right resources in order to build up, and re-energize your shields. And then if you fly around, you need to make fuel for your ship, of course. It gets even more complex, but the fact that the game is actually so user-friendly that the menus are very well done, and this game could be really frustrating if the interface wasn't as good as it is, and it is very good. Once you have to learn it, of course. Then you'll be jumping in and out of menus and doing things and doing that and building utilities to help you combine materials or extract materials, and it's just, the thing about this game is it's never really done. It's very hard to stop playing it because there's always another goal, and there is a story to this game. It's a very loose story, but there's always objectives to take to the next thing to do and to introduce you to different mechanics of the game. For example, right now I'm up to a point where I need to develop a hyperspace engine in order to travel to another universe, because I'm following this sort of distress signal, which is quite intriguing. It seems to be from this being, and I assume the being is something like this. It reminds me a little of the film Oblivion with Tom Cruise. There was this kind of thing, this life force in the sky that was dictating something, and yeah, there's a little bit of intrigue there, but it's not a particularly story driven game. It's just something to give you an objective, a goal to work towards. It's the actual gameplay in between, and you're forever scanning things, discovering new creatures, and there is a bit of combat. One thing I find quite annoying is the sentinels. Basically, they're like the police. It's like Grand Theft Auto. If you mine materials on a planet, they don't like it. They start shooting at you. If you continue to mine things without, running away from them, then they will eventually kill you. And it's quite frustrating because, all you want to do, you have to mine things in certain times in the game. Otherwise, you're going to lose all your health and die anyway. So, yeah, they are a bit full on. Also, when you're in space, you'll get ships attacking you, and I was in a situation where if my ship isn't particularly well kitted out at the minute. If I was to go head to head with these guys, I would be in great danger of getting killed. So I decided the best option was to run, and you can't actually launch your, I think, pulse engines while an enemy is around you. So I found that a little bit frustrating, that I had to wait an awful long time holding down two buttons to boost in order to get away to the next destination, either a planet or a space station. At space stations you can talk to creatures. Something I like about the game also is how you can pick up certain words and languages. I've learned a few words so far, but I guess as you progress in the game you can actually decipher what these aliens are saying a bit more, and it gives the whole thing a otherworldly experience and feeling. It's pretty great. I got this for £10. Actually, it was a bit of an accident me buying this, because I actually bought it from my friend Gareth, because I knew he was interested in the game. At the time I couldn't get hold of him to just work out whether or not he'd already bought it. He had, unfortunately, but I guess fortunately for me, I decided to give this game a go, and I really like it, and I think it's well worth the price tag of £10, because now they've added so many updates to this game. It's a great time to play it. It's actually considered to be No Man's Sky next now. If you were to buy a retail copy, it may be branded next, and that's just so you're aware. You can upgrade the standard copy to the next version without paying anything extra. So if you can find this game cheap as I did for £10, you get a lot of content for that money. You will find places trying to sell this game did an inflated price, £35 for instance, a retail price, especially now this add-on's out. So try and get it cheap if you can. That's No Man's Sky. We'll move on to a game I can't say a lot about, because it's a bit sad, this story. I love Tetris. I picked up this. This is Tetris and Dr Mario. This promises some great things. An individual Tetris game, individual Dr Mario game with multiplayer, but also a version where you combine both. And it's similar, not quite the same to Puyo Tetris, but exciting two-player game where you play both Tetris. Try to outscore your opponent while playing both Tetris and Dr Mario, which is kind of cool. I'd love to try it out. It looks very much like the next kind of logical step on from the NES Tetris game, just for the Super Nintendo. So that's a game I love. So to be able to play something like that on the Super Nintendo, funnily enough, I do play the NES version on the Super Nintendo using an adapter already. But I was interested to see what kind of improvements they make in this game, and it promises a lot of great stuff on the back. But unfortunately, I can't play it because my PAL Super Nintendo is acting up. This is actually technically the third PAL Super Nintendo I've owned. The original Super Nintendo I bought had a switch, enable it to switch between PAL and NTSC, and for a while that worked perfectly until the switch broke and I could no longer switch it to PAL. Oh, it was stuck on NTSC, meaning I can play American games and Japanese games and the majority of PAL games, apart from first party Nintendo titles like this, which recognise the hardware as being not from the region the software is designed for, and therefore I cannot play it, which is immensely frustrating. I got a second Super Nintendo, didn't work. I got a refund for that. I bought it on eBay, didn't work, and the seller refunded me. And then I bought another one, and it worked for a while, and then it stopped working. And so yes, I have no way to play this game at the minute. I'm considering getting one of those HDMI clone systems just to get some reliability, because who's to say I buy another Super Nintendo and it might not work again. Anyway, so a bit disappointing that. A game which is not so disappointing at all is this little surprise game which is called Sunday vs Magazine. I think, odd title for a game. It's a one-on-one fighting game for the PSP, exclusive to Japan, featuring some lesser known manga anime characters. Probably one of the most best known characters featured in this game is Devilman, which is actually the reason I bought this game. At the moment I'm getting quite into Devilman, and then I came across this, and it's a very easy to play fighting game. It's kind of simple, but it's simple but satisfying, I call it. And once you work out the controls, and I have to say this game is reasonably accessible for being a Japanese language game. 2D fighters generally are. Well, it's 2D, it has a 3D aesthetic, very true to the manga characters and universes it's based around. Nice backgrounds, characters look nice, it looks like a cartoon, looks like an anime. So can't fault the graphics, and the gameplay, as I say, is simplistic but fun. Every character's got sort of the same setup, kind of simplified special move sets. If you press R and triangle or R and circle, you'll do a big special move. You can charge up by pressing both L and R, and that'll make you more powerful for a limited amount of time. Usually if you press triangle and circle together, you've got sort of projectile attack or a different sort of special move unique to your character. For example, the first character I played as, it was a magical girl, and she had a projectile attack. Whereas the next character I played as was this martial arts type character. You'll find you probably aren't familiar with a lot of these characters unless you know the franchises and have read the translations of the mangas and stuff. But he had a force field that made him invincible for a short amount of time. It's another cool game where you've got a goal to work towards. It has a story mode, quite easy. I say story mode, it's more of an arcade mode actually. It might have a story mode, but I haven't tried that yet, and I imagine being a Japanese language game, I wouldn't get the most out of that. But it does have a traditional arcade mode of several or so fights, I think 6 or 7, maybe 8 different fights, and always at the end you fight a character which hasn't been selectable already, and when you beat that character, you unlock that character to play as. So there's always something to keep you playing, and I love fighting games when they offer you that. They offer you the ability to unlock characters. It's something that's not very popular nowadays with developers, because they want to charge you for additional characters as opposed to actually challenge you within the game to unlock them. It works really well here, and because the gameplay is so satisfying and fun in its simplicity, but it has got a certain flow to it, so when you get into it you can appreciate the fight mechanics quite a lot, even though after playing for a long period of time it could become a bit dull or samey, because it's just because of the simplicity of the moves. But you'll find there's enough variety in the characters to give you something new every time. You probably won't want to play through this multiple times as the same character, because that would get a bit boring, I think. But each character has their own unique way of fighting. And it's very accessible in that respect, because once you know the moves, then you can transfer that knowledge mostly to the other characters, and you'll find some surprises. You might change the way you attack. It's got like press X in the air to recover from being knocked down, so the gameplay remains sort of fast paced and fun throughout. It's got multiplayer as well, or you can play just a single fight against a computer. You can also do that. This copy I got is complete, which is nice and very good condition. The game's in my PSP at the minute. I would recommend this for any PSP fighting fans. As someone who's played a lot of fighting games, I can say this is one of the better ones I've played. It's developed by Konami as well. And lastly, we'll be talking about a Silent Hill game. This is one I recently picked up for the PS3, and it's Silent Hill Downpour. So, yes, I don't have much of a history with Silent Hill, despite me picking up a Silent Hill game for every platform I own, because it has got a certain atmosphere. When this game starts off in a prison. The first thing that caught my eye about this game was its visuals. It's an incredibly good looking game. It was released in 2012, but the graphics look fantastic. You play a prisoner. At the beginning you're getting some revenge on another inmate in there. So it's an odd way to start a game. You walk into a shower room, doors are locked, you fight this rather large fellow by repeatedly stabbing him. It's very violent. This isn't one you want any children to play, of course, being Silent Hill. Beat this guy up. Then it's sort of like you wake up like it was all a dream. And next thing you know, you're being transported on a bus out to another prison. On the way, the bus goes through the town of Silent Hill, where the bus topples over, you escape, you're left within Silent Hill, of course very foggy, very mysterious. You meet a postman who's very cryptic and disappears after a few moments, and then things start to get weird as you explore the desolate surroundings and try and find objects to get through doors, to little puzzles, environmental puzzles and things like that. It's typical of its genre. It really doesn't do anything that different from other games I've played like this, but it is incredibly well presented. Very cinematic. It controls well enough. You know, I wouldn't commend the controls for being particularly amazing, but it controls well, and as you'd expect a game like this. So very polished. Gameplay seems at the minute rather generic. The story doesn't seem particularly interesting yet, but it is hinted at that the main character has done something obviously terrible because he was in prison in the first place. But it's probably sort of like clear your name, you know, come to terms with your demons, and yeah, escape Silent Hill type affair. And it's called Downpour because there's showers at the beginning, and there's rain, and maybe some of these things will become more apparent as to why the game's actually called Downpour by the end of it, but I guess it just sounds pretty good. So yeah, Silent Hill Downpour. So this is a little bit, not the cheapest Silent Hill game you'll be able to find at the minute. I think it's about £13 online. You're looking at a similar price if you were to find this in the local CX or on the second-hand market, I would imagine. This game, I didn't mention, Sunday Versus Magazine is got that for under £10 imported from Japan, so that was a reasonably good deal. This was about the £12–13 mark. I have seen this in CX actually in Southport for just £10. So if you see that, that's if you're a Tetris fan, I'm sure this game must be worth playing. And No Man's Sky, as I say, got that for about £10. So yeah, reasonably good prices all around for those recent pickups. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and there's a load more, nearly 100, we're nearly there, to watch if you want to go back and watch some of the older ones. So, yeah, if you like the sound of any of these games, then you can always look them up if you want to get hold of them. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and while you're here, why not subscribe? And if you like the video, like the video. If you didn't, dislike it, and check out the other videos on the site. So thanks again, and bye for now.